losing my father at a young, pivotal age as a man.
And designer to the stars Beyond Hockstead has died at the age of 67.
What am I going to do? How am I going to grow up? Who am I going to be? I wasn't trying to be driven by finances or profit. I was meaning something like much deeper, and that's when I've had the most success. In order to make something truly great, you have to know who you're making it for.
The years that you grew up were some of the most prominent and exciting years of LA.
It was the biggest blessing that I ever had.
How did all of this influence you? What advice would you give to someone who looks up to your journey?
There was no playbook for so much of the things that were happening.
And legacy was on the line.
Where do you think it is today, and where do you think it's going?
That's completely ripe for disruption.
It's an interesting world, and it is interesting to observe how it affects and changes industries. And obviously the world of luxury, clothing business in general, and how technology is getting infused into these industries and how it's reshaping these industries is quite fascinating, which is why I'm really excited that you're here with us today. There are so many things about you, where you grew up, your dad, the business that you grew into, and what you're doing with your company now. Yeah. There are many topics that I want to cover with you. But first, given that I also live in Los Angeles, I would love to talk about your upbringing, growing up in Los Angeles. How was life for you back then?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm honored to be here, and thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to talk more about my family's legacy, my legacy, the future, maybe even we talk about what that looks like with my kids. But growing up in Los Angeles was, at the time, didn't seem to be atypical, but it was very unique in hindsight and in retrospect. And I'm so blessed and so fortunate to have had a father, parents, both my parents, but my father who was an immigrant and who came to the United States with a dream. And I know that it sounds somewhat cliche, but really he did have an American dream. And he came here with an ambition and a goal, and he achieved those goals in a relatively short period of time. And because of that, his son was able to do more than he could have ever imagined. And that's what's so special about, in hindsight, growing up in Los Angeles, growing up in the industry that I grew up in, growing up with a father and a mentor and a teacher, not only from a fatherhood perspective, but from a design perspective. So that was really something that I can't take for granted. I have to be very grateful for that. And, I never felt pressure to join the legacy or the family business. It was always something that was very natural to me, and it was something I wanted to do. Unfortunately, I lost my father when I was a teenager, after working with him for some time. But even had I not lost him, I still wanted to continue to follow in his footsteps. And it was natural. When I was a teenager, I got to see my father interacting with heads of state, with Michael Jordan, which, at those days, that was
age too.
Yeah. And so it was natural for me to be attracted to the family business and to follow in my father's footsteps. I think every young man, to a certain extent, wants to make their father proud and follow in their father's footsteps, and looks to them as an example, knowingly or unknowingly. But when you mix in, beautiful clothing and making things in Italy and Michael Jordan and the Michael Jordan cologne and the advertisements and the Bugatti and the Rolls-Royce projects and the presidents and all of these important people that we had the pleasure of dressing, and I still do have the honor of dressing. It was almost not, I think we would all agree it was not shocking that I wanted to follow in those footsteps.
Of course.
Yeah.
And it is such a powerful story, and just imagining, putting myself in your shoes and thinking about being 13, 14, 15-year-old, walking into the store on Rodeo Drive, seeing these celebrities, presidents, and seeing your dad interact with them. It must have been really powerful and inspiring. And I was just very curious, how did all of this influence you? I would love to kind of get in your headspace of how did it really shape you?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about working with my father at a young age and also losing him at a young age was, in hindsight, now that I'm a father, I can see he really did make a concerted effort to teach me the important aspects of not only the luxury business, not only the clothing business, but of life, and being polite and being kind and being honorable and not judging a book by its cover. And I think the coolest part about that is that I ended up being the biggest beneficiary of that, because all of these people he interacted with from all different walks of life, after he was gone, they really wanted to support me. And I still feel in many ways that so many of them and even their kids and grandkids still have that feeling of wanting to support my vision and my creativity and my business. And it's a testament to really how you treat people and the way you conduct your business and the way you make people feel. It is so important, and it translates to every part of your life, not just business.
It is so important. And when I met you for the first time, I've immediately felt that.
Thank you.
You know, I've been living in LA little over 6 years now. And as you know, with the business we do, traveling across the world, shooting properties here left and right, we built a pretty big network relatively quickly.
Right.
And on that journey, I got a chance to interact with a lot of people. And given how competitive and to some degree edgy Los Angeles is, it can wear on people.
Yeah.
It can really change people and really influence them. But every once in a while, you meet individuals that are not only successful, that have managed to retain their humility, personality, love, and passion. And when I talk to you, not only you're very successful, but I felt that humility immediately. I can almost feel your dad's personality, your dad's aura, and how that influenced you and how that still lives with you, which is such a beautiful thing.
Thank
and
you.
Such a rare thing as well. I mean, it's like the utmost compliment I can give you.
Thank you.
And so that's why beyond this being a success story, there's also that personal attachment, your dad being from Iran, that Persian warmth and hospitality that is still living through you, which is beautiful.
I really appreciate it. I mean, first and foremost, I can say the same thing about the first time I met you, and how you were such a personable person, genuine, sincere. I think we were only supposed to be together that day for like 30 minutes or so, but we ended up spending a few hours together and just having a great conversation about life and about business and about your business and my business and the people that we know in common. And I think it's something that we both share. And when you meet people like that, it really resonates. And I think that that's something that, yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, it's not so common these days, especially in a city like perhaps Los Angeles. But you know, it's human nature. And I think we have really, or at least I have tried to really instill that value in my business with NB44, with the fact that we really care deeply about how we serve our clients, the products that we create for our clients, the way that we present the products to them, the way that they feel when they wear it. I think that there's a certain part of human nature that goes with that, but it also is a certain part of luxury. I think that when you're wearing a beautiful piece, it should be something that is made with a lot of thought and care, and it's something that will make you feel better. It will be with you until the next generation, perhaps. And those things matter. It's like kind of an intangible trait with a product. The actual attention to detail is important. The quality is important. The craftsmanship is important. But the heart and the sincerity and the authenticity that goes into creating it, and the way that it's presented and given, and also the way it's maintained too. I mean, our members, our clients at NB44, we call them members, and they are members. They receive not only these products, but after the event, like, we care deeply for the way that they care for them, if they need it to be altered, if they need it to be dry cleaned. I mean, we'll send somebody to pick it up and take care of it for them. That's that sincerity. That's that care. And you deserve that, I think, generally, but especially when you're paying a lot of money for these products. That's part of what you're paying for, in my opinion.
I think what's so exciting and unique about your story, and I can relate that when it comes to our business, your personality and who you are and what your approach is to the world is heavily reflected on your business, MB44, which I want to dive deep into and talk about it a little bit later because it's fascinating. And I love the evolution of your business and what you have learned, from your dad, the House of Bijan, and then what you're taking it to. But I think that's like that authenticity and emotion that's missing in a lot of products or companies these days.
Yes.
And everything has become very advertising oriented.
Yes.
And people are seeking that story. People are seeking passionate individuals creating things, and they want to experience those products. So wearing your clothing, wearing your garment isn't just about having that utility, but it's also the story, the meaning. Every time you put on and you feel the material, it means something. And that level of intentionality and carrying it on you, it does give you a feeling that is somewhat difficult to explain.
Yes.
And I almost feel like you need to walk into this world with an open heart and open mind and really experience it and really understand the individuals behind it.
Totally.
Then
Yeah, I
all of a
couldn't have
sudden
said it
your
better.
perception totally changes.
Totally.
From being an expensive product, it turns into, oh wow, this is someone's art.
Yes.
They obsess over this.
Yes.
And
Yes.
every inch, every stitch, every lapel matters to them. And I get to be the lucky one wearing it and can also understand and experience it at a level that they find joy at.
Yeah, absolutely.
very meaningful.
Absolutely. And you said it so elegantly because it's so true. I think talking about my upbringing and where I learned my craft and what we do, when I would watch my father as a fashion designer interact with people, I could see how he was, let's call it, reading between the lines. What does this gentleman want to say about himself? Does he want to be perceived older? Does he want to be perceived younger? Does he want to be perceived wealthier? Does he want to kind of take the attention away from his wealth? And all of these things are like I said, reading in between the lines. You're not going to maybe share that with somebody out of one or two sessions or shopping with them or talking to them. But what my father did so beautifully was be able to kind of see that. And he wasn't always 100%. And sometimes it was actually fun because it was so the opposite direction that, people would almost respect that as well. But I wanted to do that with what we do. And I wanted to take that and extrapolate on it. And I think that that's in many ways what makes what we do so unique. When we create something, I truly believe, and I learned this in my upbringing, that in order to make something truly great, you have to know more or less who you're making it for. So when brands make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pieces, some brands thousands, they're not really thinking with the individual who's going to be wearing that garment in mind. It's almost like spreading chips across a roulette board if you're a gambler, where what we think luxury means is creating pieces with Enes in mind. Where is he going to be traveling? Is he going to be conducting business? Is he going to be casual? Is he going to be with his family? Is he going to be in a climate that is warm? And then taking it even a step deeper. Does he want to be perceived maybe more in a understated kind of way? Does he want to be perceived maybe wealthier than he is? Do he want to be perceived taller, thinner, younger, older? And when you do that effectively, you have really a deeper connection with the person who's ending with the garment, with the pieces that you're making.
You can create a framework and ask people to fit in, or you can analyze and look at those individuals and say, how can I create a framework where when they walk in and be part of this, it can elevate this experience, or maybe something that they would have normally consumed and they wouldn't care much about becomes something that they value more. You're creating that experience, you're creating that meaning.
And it's a balance. So how do you balance that?
It all started with the House of Bijan, your dad's business that created this framework, this industry that you operate in. And I would love to dive into the story there a little bit, because it's so rich and interesting, and to many degrees colorful as well.
Yeah.
From what I know, it was founded in 1976
Correct.
by your dad. Your dad was from Iran.
Mm-hmm.
He immigrated here, and watching some of his older videos, especially after you told me he has this thick accent, but he's very charming, very passionate. I can just see how he was just so into his craft.
Yes.
And can you tell me those years a little bit, how he founded the business? What was his vision? And did he envision the House of Bijan that we know today back then?
I'd love all of those questions. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about him. He's so important to me and really shaped who I am today. So I love being able to do these kinds of recaps and thought exercises, not just because of you, but because of me. I love to explore it too. And of course I can only share my own experience and what I know, because obviously I wasn't alive back then, but he came to this country from what I understand was in the early 70s with, as I mentioned, an American dream. He felt extremely proud of his Iranian heritage, of his Persian heritage. And he felt that what he wanted to achieve in his life as a designer, he could not do perhaps in Europe, and he could not do perhaps in his native country. So he came to this country with a pretty wild idea. And he said, I'm going to be the most expensive clothing designer in the world. And I'm going to make the most beautiful clothing for men. And I'm going to open the most beautiful store on Rodeo Drive, which back then Rodeo Drive was not what it is today. But still, it was a very nice street, I think, in Beverly Hills. And you cannot come in because we are by appointment only. And people said, who is this crazy guy? He's going to be out of business in a matter of months. Only people who need appointments are lawyers and doctors. To buy clothes, you need to make an appointment.
And back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. But he was very misunderstood with that. And I'll tell you why. It was because he had so much respect for the people who were shopping with him that he wanted them to have the undivided attention of everybody in that boutique. And what made people think he was crazy was actually, I think, the biggest key to his success. It not only built a level of exclusivity around the brand, but it also really made people feel special when they interacted with him and his products, and sometimes not with him. And that's in so many ways what we've been discussing and what we want to discuss in today's world, right? And what's kind of lacking in today's world. Now, the other thing I want to take into consideration, which makes me so proud of him, is that he always challenged the conventional wisdom. Now, conventional wisdom would say, you open a beautiful, expensive store on a major shopping street. Why would you lock the door? Why would you keep it closed? But he challenged that. And it ended up being a big key to his success. Another way that he challenged it through his career that I've learned from in studying him and kind of digesting what he's accomplished and trying to take that to the next level. In his advertisements, he was very provocative in many of his ads. I mean,
some bold ads that I saw.
Yeah,
during our
totally,
research. Yeah,
totally. I mean, there is an ad of me as a young, I think I was probably 5 or 6 year old child, and which is also, by the way, just that is provocative to have your son in the ad with you. But I'm covering my eyes and he's covering his mouth, shocked. And Bo Derek, who is the biggest, actress and symbol of glamour and just the it girl of the time, was flashing us with her trench coat. And, that's a very provocative ad. But I have to say that he did it somehow in a very tasteful way. So it wasn't just provocative to be provocative, which many brands and many advertisements you see today are just provocative to get people talking. But he did that in such an interesting way that people spoke about it. And the way that the value, the return on that investment, the CPM in today's metrics was so high because he didn't have, I think, billions and billions of marketing budgets, but he did it with the conventional wisdom. And I want to give you one more story about conventional wisdom with him. I remember when I was working with him and he wanted to design his limited edition series of Bugatti Veyrons. So first and foremost, that's every teenage boy's dream, is to be designing Bugattis with their dad. But he wanted to design this series of Bugattis and he did, and they were beautiful. And you can find, some of them in different parts of the world. And there are many pictures and videos about it on YouTube. Of course, the most famous one was the one that he would park in front of his store. And which, by the way, that's provocative too, just to park your car in front of your store with telling everybody, here I am. But
bold yellow Bugatti sitting right up front.
Exactly. And I think that what was so interesting about this lesson that I learned from my dad in this experience was he wanted to make it Bijan yellow. And we were playing with the idea of making it all black and very elegant and very timeless and, a gorgeous cognac Havana brown interior. And it was just so gorgeous. And I remember being like, Dad, this is the most beautiful design, like all of his details, but all very understated, which is actually, by the way, more of my aesthetic, which is partially why I think NB44 is so successful in today's world. Everybody is a little bit more quiet.
Yep.
But to go back to going against the conventional wisdom, he said, no, Nicholas, I'm going to make it yellow. We're going to paint the wheels yellow. We're going to put a big man on the hood painted in what he called the mouth of truth, which was one of his favorite designs. And I was just like, oh man, like, why are you doing this? Like, it was so beautiful how we had specced it with this black and cognac interior. But he didn't explain to me why he was doing what he was doing, but he was very, as you said, unapologetic about why he wanted it to be how it was. Turns out now in retrospect, that's probably the most photographed car in the world. And one day that car might be worth $30-40 million. And the advertising value that it created for him, his legacy, his company, is way more than $30-40 million.
Yeah.
So I don't know if an all black Bugatti would have had the same effect. It probably still would have been a bit controversial, but it was so much more effective going against the conventional wisdom and saying, let's be very principled in what I want to do. And I do think that this is a very chic design. And I don't care if anybody doesn't like it, including my own son. I'm going to make it yellow with yellow wheels. And it was very smart. And it was, in hindsight, very smart.
I always say, it's not what you do, it's how you do it, right?
Yeah.
And you said something very important. It's, even though he was provocative or bold with his advertising, he was doing it in a way that was tasteful.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like the fine line that your dad was walking. And it's funny enough, I know a lot of Persian individuals, and when they're really passionate, talented, and good at what they do, and still retain that humility, that combination is very powerful because you have the bold, unwilling to push the boundaries approach mixed with humility and care and passion, and I want the best experience for the person on the other side.
Yeah.
And when you combine those things, you create one-off unique products, services, businesses. In this case, even still to this day, when you look at Rodeo Drive, the House of Bijan in many ways stands alone.
Yeah.
There hasn't been another one that is somewhat like it.
Yes.
Given your dad's legacy, what the company stands for, the products, and the service that's being provided by this business, it is quite unique.
Yes.
And that's a big accomplishment.
Thank you. You. I'm very honored to have had the opportunity to not only have worked with my father, but to have continued his legacy after he passed. And in many ways, I feel like I'm continuing his legacy now with my new brand, NB44. In fact, the name NB is my initials, Nicholas Bijan, and 44 is my lucky number, which was why we used NB44. But coincidentally, it's also his date of birth, which was 4444. I think that this meaning of NB44 being a new chapter of my legacy is such a meaningful part of the narrative behind the brand.
Yeah.
I think that one of the most beautiful advertisements that I've seen, and I'm sure you would agree, is by the brand Patek Philippe. And what they say in that advertisement, which we all know it, I think, in our most men love this advertisement. It's, you don't actually own one, you're taking care of it for the next generation. And they bring this feeling of 2 generations and passing this piece that you're purchasing, which I see you're wearing and is so beautiful, to your son one day. And I think that that's so cool about my brand, because although it is a totally separate thing, a totally new creative endeavor, and something that I'm 100% of my time focused on, there is this feeling of the next generation. And one thing that I've seen with NB44 that has been so fun and meaningful to me is we have a demographic of members who are inherently younger by age. I think there's, besides the fact that our products are kind of targeted towards people in their 30s and 40s, there's also a big wealth shift happening in the world right now. But just to get back to what I was saying, is so cool to see them bring in their fathers to our design studio, or to sign their fathers up for a membership with NB44, and then see them bonding. I never got the chance to do that because I lost my father young. But watching that happening, I swear to you, I have goosebumps right now talking about it. It is so meaningful to see a son love what we're doing and then come to us and say, can I buy some things for my father? Or I'd love to invite my father in here, or I'd love to get him a membership. And then seeing that kind of bond between the dad feeling cool and the son like really bonding with his dad because he's teaching his dad something. And by the way, vice versa. I have to say, a couple weeks ago, we had a member from Texas reach out to us, and they said, we're going to a great, trip in Europe this summer, and we're bringing my son, and can we get a collection for my son put together at the same time as my collection? And we said, yes, of course. And we put together this collection. He called us after he received this collection. He said, my son just keeps saying, this is great, this is great, this is great. So it's been awesome to see that. And I think that there's an intrinsic value again with that is so unique to our business, and is so important in not only the luxury space, but it's important to the people who we cater to.
Couldn't agree more. So, I'm going to go back to your dad for a second, because I really want you to talk about some of these cool stories. I mean, when I was in your office, in your boutique, there are so many photos of your dad with presidents, celebrities. Can you share some of these stories with us?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's so cool about, so you mentioned 2 things. The boutique, the Bijan boutique on Rodeo Drive has, against conventional wisdom, many pictures of clients and friends of the brand in picture frames. And it was very interesting to see over the years how certain people would come and they would see these photos, and some of them, they would maybe be skeptical of these photos. They'd say like, what are these? And then they would realize like, oh no, in further research, this brand is actually, pretty legit. And furthermore, what else I noticed in that was that a lot of them knew each other. And maybe they didn't know each other the way that you and I know each other, but they knew of each other. And it kind of felt like a community in a weird way. And not in an intentional way, for sure not intentional, but it was more or less a community. And when I went to start my business, I knew that when we create a brand where very important people from all around the world are going to be wearing this clothing, there will be that sense of community. Just like you see somebody wearing the same brand of watch, or just like you see somebody wearing NB44 at a Golden State Warriors game or a Dodgers game, and you're like, oh, I'm also a member. And then to extrapolate on that, well, when you do it by membership, you actually allow that community to exist and to be a real thing, not just an unspoken thing. And it's so powerful and it's so meaningful. And I learned that from the interactions I had in my teenage years and in my 20s, seeing these photographs where people were like, oh, I know him, or oh, he spoke at my, inauguration, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then to go back and address the topic of my office, I had the chance in my teenage years and in my 20s to meet many, many very important people. I was very fortunate to do that. They were really meaningful to me because I had obviously lost my father as a late teenager, and I was at a very pivotal time in my life. And what I kind of did with every interaction I had was take the things that I like about that person and try and implement them within myself. And to take the things that I didn't like about that person, because a lot of times there are things that you don't like too, and make sure that you don't implement them into yourself. And it was all from I wouldn't say a place of survival, but more or less a place of discomfort, losing my father at a young pivotal age as a man, and being like, what am I going to do? How am I going to grow up? Who am I going to be? And it was the biggest blessing that I ever had. And I saw a quote from Warren Buffett that said, the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. And what that meant to me was, if there are things you're doing in your life that you are not noticing, a lot of times those habits are impossible to break until it's too late because you're not noticing them. So when I would interact with various celebrities or various world leaders or various business tycoons or second generation or third generation wealthy individuals, or even just anybody, to be honest, it doesn't even have to be from a client perspective, or it could have just been in my life generally. Growing up in LA and traveling around, there's, like, as you mentioned, such a network. I really did try and implement that. And in my office, I have letters from people who I have really taken personal appreciation from interactions with them and implemented them in my own life, positive and negative. And when I think you were in my office, I showed you some letters that I had received from the US presidents. And those letters were addressed to me from President Bush 41, President Obama, President Clinton, President Bush 43, President Obama, President Trump, and President Biden. And the reason that I have those in my office, which is really, it's a personal space. Nobody comes in there other than, very close friends and my team and I, is because it reminds me of where my father started. It reminds me of what he achieved, even though they're addressed to me, and there was many more addressed to him in his lifetime than to me. I am reminded of what I could achieve given what he has worked to give me in his lifetime as an immigrant coming to this country, allowing me to be born with the last name Bijan, with a father like he was, with a business like he had, and the knowledge, the experience, the know-how to continue that into the next generation. And I think that's the biggest and most beautiful part about his legacy. So I keep those letters as a very important part of who I am and where I came from. And what an amazing country I feel the United States is for so many people around the world, to give them that platform. And by the way, I mentioned my father being very proud of his Iranian heritage. He did not conform at all when he was here. I mean, he had a thick accent, as you mentioned. He was very proudly Persian. He was unapologetic. And as somebody who was born in America, talking about myself now, I don't think there is any really other country, more or less, that you could do that and be considered American and embraced.
Be received, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you did that in other countries, which are beautiful countries, but like in the fashion industry, you would go to France, you'd go to Italy. I don't think the Italians would really look at you as an Italian. I don't think the French would look at you as French. I don't think the British would look at you as British.
Yeah.
So I love those countries, and I manufacture all my clothing in Italy. It's the best of the best. If you want to make the best pieces in the world, you have to make them in Italy. Mm-hmm. France, I would love to live there one day. Yeah. London is my favorite city probably on the planet. But my father came to America. With his thick accent, with his foreign name, by the way, at a time that was very taboo to be Persian and Iranian because there was a hostage crisis and a regime change, he was embraced, and he was embraced by the heads of the country.
Yes.
And his son now can start his own brand and have, knock on wood, immediate success that we've experienced because of what was afforded to him by this amazing country. So in summary, the pictures I think that you see within the boutiques were a great learning for me, because that unique aspect of that brand showed me that community is so important. And that's maybe not so obvious. The second part of having letters in my office from all sorts of clients, friends, world leaders, business people, is that they have incredible intrinsic value to me. And that reminds me every day of what I can continue to push to achieve, and to believe in myself, and remind myself of the, forgive me for saying it this way, the leg up and the advantage that I was given by the previous generation.
Yeah. We're excited to partner with Lezoni, a brand that truly values craftsmanship and quality. A Turkish company whose heritage, design precision, and service align with our vision and values, making them a standout choice for us and those who appreciate well-made pieces. For the price point, their furniture pieces offer some of the best value in the industry. We've known Lezoni for years, and every client, friend, or colleague we've sent their way has had a great experience, whether it's in-store or online, due to their customer service. That's why we felt confident choosing them to furnish our podcast studio, and we can't thank them enough for their support. It's quite powerful, and like listening to you and I see the world quite similar. Like, I'm a big believer in meet individuals, understand cultures, take what you like, take what you believe in or what aligns with you, and leave the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Because you can learn from anybody. You can learn. I mean, that's the beauty. Like I always say to my business partner or to my close friends, how fortunate I feel with the job that I have. Not because we go tour expensive assets and this, that. It's because we have access to such incredible individuals, and we get these one-on-one conversations, intimate times with these individuals where I can really learn from them. I can understand them. And it's almost like I get to live the life they live through them for a moment. And I can really understand if there's a value in there for me or not. It's like I got a chance to go to a playground where I can get on every single ride without having to pay for it or own it, and then take my findings out of it.
So I've got to interrupt you, because you know what I love so much about what you do, and what I've really learned now that I'm a father and a business, founder of a company. You're not only doing that, but you are giving back. And giving back has many connotations. There's, philanthropy, and there's, financial donations, and there's things like that. But you are giving the power of knowledge and transparency and authenticity to an audience that maybe and hopefully is receptive to learning from it, right? And I think that now that I'm, as I said, a founder of a business and having achieved some success on my own two legs, and having, most importantly, two young, beautiful children, giving back to me now is so much more important than all of that, more or less, let's call it, for lack of a better term, taking of knowledge that I had in my 20s. And I really hope that as I continue to develop creatively and, express myself and grow within my business, I can take this opportunity to really embrace and give others the opportunity that I was given. We have something called an ambassador program at NB44, which highlights young ambassadors that are masters of what I believe is their calling or their craft. And we had an amazing equestrian by the name of Carlos Henk Guerrero, who is 25 years old. I think he's number one in the world under 25 in jumping and equestrian. He was an Olympian in Paris for show jumping, representing his home country of Mexico. We have another amazing athlete, young, promising, humble, gracious, intelligent young guy named Pasha Gadarzi, who is a NCAA basketball player, We have an amazing guy named Miles Chamley Watson, who's a Olympic fencer for Team USA. These are people that I think embracing them with whatever little spotlight I can give to them through my clothing and through my products and through our audience is kind of the way I was embraced and enabled as somebody in their mid-20s. And so I think that that's really cool. And at the same time, they look great in our clothes. They have their own amazing audiences and followings that we're honored to partner with.
Amazing.
And it has a deeper meaning. Everything should have some sort of meaning behind it. And when you're doing something in a creative business like fashion design, that's tremendously impactful, especially in a world where everybody's driven by mass production and marketing dollars and profit margin and market capitalization. For us, it's much more meaningful than that.
Without a doubt. And also, I love how you said your definition of giving back can be in many ways. I believe in that as well. Like, one of the reasons why we've gone on this journey or gone, to this extent to make the videos that we're doing, it was my way of democratizing and giving access to people.
For sure.
I always wondered what's behind these doors. I always wanted to see these homes. And I wish I had a friend who was welcoming and warm, would say, come, see the place, hang out with me. All good. You don't need to worry about anything. You don't need to pay for anything. Just come and choose this property, this asset. It was my childish, naive way of saying, screw the rules and this prestigious aspect of luxury world. Let's break the door. Let's give people the access. But while we're doing that, let's still honor the product. Let's still dress, talk about it, study the asset in a way that honors what it is, but lets people know you can do it too. That was really the underlying tone behind everything we've done.
You do it so well. I remember the first video of yours I saw was an RV tour.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not a big RV fan, but I watched this video, and the way that you walked us through this RV, and forgive me for calling it an RV because I'm sure it's not an RV.
Motorhome RV.
Doing
it's all
a
good.
huge disservice to what this is, because this thing was nicer than my own home. You were welcoming. You were not distasteful in any way whatsoever, and you really gave people not only a good, clear understanding of what was being presented, but you gave them a positive feeling, whether it was inspirational or like, how cool, or so you're so good at that. And I was so honored to have the opportunity to be invited here to talk about my business, because there's no better person to share that with than you. And I get to selfishly also talk about it with you. But I love your content. I love the videos that you're making. I'm very inspired by what you do. And I think it is the future. I think it is the future. I think the same way my kids will not shop more or less in traditional brick and mortar stores, people will not consume content or view a house or learn about a business from a textbook or from even a television show. They're going to come to sources like podcasts, like YouTube channels, like you name it, social media shorts or reels, and educate themselves. So to have the power to do that in a tasteful way is a superpower, because it is not easy. And you do it so well. And the other thing that I just think is so cool, and why I felt an instant connection with you, and I told you this when I met you, is this is going to sound really funny. You remind me of my dad.
You told me this. Yes.
My dad was very similar and I'm being sincere in this. He was authentic in who he was. He was grateful for the opportunities that he had, and he valued presenting it in the right way, I guess is the right way to say it, and in a way that was respectful of what you were talking about, but still inspiring and sometimes cute and funny and sometimes, controversial. So I really enjoyed learning that about you. And of course, You have a lot less of an accent than my father did, but
I still make grammar mistakes, so don't get me wrong.
it's the biggest asset you've got, man. It's the biggest asset you've got, and so many people would think that an accent. And who am I to say this? In fact, I was born in Los Angeles, and I still kind of talk with an accent just because I've been around it my whole life. But I think the accent is actually the biggest asset you have because it allows you to articulate yourself in a way that maybe you couldn't if you didn't have it. And you don't do this so much, and maybe you should, but my father used to really say controversial and sometimes like startling things, but it was through an accent. And he was smart enough to know that was going to have that effect, but he was able to do it in a way that also disarmed you because it's just an accent, you know?
Yeah.
So anyways, I think that's just an amazing thing that you've got. I promise I'll stop complimenting you.
No, I appreciate it. I'm honored. No, thank you so much. I mean, it means a lot to me. And I mean, what you said about social media and video, to me, video is the most immersive way of consuming information right now.
Yeah.
And I think we are not only open to it, we're receiving it more and more. We're enjoying it, you know? I can't think of anything that I bought in the last few years that's substantial where I didn't watch a video about it.
Yeah.
I literally, a car, watch, clothing, whatever you like, furniture, you want to see a video, you want to feel and understand the texture of this product. So I think video is the best utility for that, for that experience.
Yes, it's amazing. You can teach yourself so many things. And I think in today's world, and it's only going to become more like this, people really need to become educated about something on their own. That is going to be the most effective way to share a message with somebody. Let them do their own research. You know, in a time that's, you know, dominated by AI and, you know, questionable news coverage and all sorts of things, people have to come to their own conclusions.
Correct.
Even in the past they had to do that, but now more so. So I'm greatly appreciative to you to allow me to come here and talk to you about my business.
No, I'm excited. And we got a beautiful trunk next to you, and I really want to delve deep into it. But I kind of want to bring us to how you gone to this point.
Yeah.
And there's a very big pivotal event that have happened in your life, which is in 2011.
Yes.
Your dad passed away.
Yes.
And I'm assuming you were 17 or 18 at the time?
I was 19 years old.
19 years old. And I can only imagine, Nicholas, you know, your dad is an icon, store on Rodeo Drive, life is going well. You were going Pepperdine, I believe.
That's correct, yeah.
So you have this beautiful life. You're living in California, and I would even argue the years that you grew up in are some of the most iconic years of this city.
Yeah.
With Hollywood, fame, everything that's happening, and bam, you hit a wall. And I know this event has tremendously impacted you.
Oh, tremendously.
So would love to hear what was going through your mind when this happened.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think just to start, it's funny how sometimes the biggest tragedies in your life can end up being the most important blessings. Now, the passing of my father was something that, as a son, and as every son, if they're lucky, but by the way, because if we're lucky, we outlive our parents. But the passing of my father was a very difficult time, but I also had the beautiful support of millions of fans of his around the world and supporters of his around the world. I remember at 19 going through that with my family, so hurt and confused, and just opening my social media, which at the time I think it was like basically Facebook. We had Instagram, but it was not really much at 2011. And I had, I'm not kidding you, thousands of messages, thousands. And besides the, official news coverages from places like New York Times or Los Angeles Times or Wall Street Journal or Huffington Post at the time, that also were very impactful to me, I just received so many beautiful messages from people. And one of the messages that I received that I'll never forget was a lady who had immigrated to the United States from Iran after the revolution. And she said, I felt like a foreigner. I didn't feel welcome. I had a foreign name. I was a teenager. And your father was on billboards with a very also foreign name, Bijan, spread across that billboard, smiling with this big, $1 million smile. And he gave me identity. I mean, wow.
That's so powerful.
Yeah. And to be mourning your father and to read something like that really puts a sense of purpose and meaning in your life. So the point is that it was an impactful moment. It was a very difficult moment. I really found the need to honor his memory and honor his legacy and honor all the lives that he had an impact on. I think arguably mine was the most impacted, but by making him proud. And as I mentioned previously to you, that mission of keeping his name and elevating it was what really pushed me to learn his craft so well and to go through really difficult times. And it was all kind of a blessing in disguise because it kept me, it gave me a North Star, and it gave me kind of a path to follow where I wouldn't get distracted with some of the things that, a 19 or 20-year-old kid would. And I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from working with him and constantly thinking back to what he would have done or what did I know and what did I see him doing in business. But then it also gave me the ability to okay, it's time for you now. It's time for you to cut the cord and go out to sea, and cast your sails and to make mistakes and to learn from those mistakes. And today, as a 30-something-year-old man with a growing, beautiful, creative, unique business and 2 beautiful children, I could have never achieved what I have achieved today without having that experience in my 20s.
Of course.
And so to answer your question, it was the most difficult thing, but I did 2 things. I really tried to look at it as a glass half full, how lucky I was to have the support of so many people and have had this amazing, man who led by example, and beyond all else, besides teaching me my craft and all of that, was just a great dad. And then beyond that, how do I make that? How do I live up to that? And how I thought I needed to live up to it was to not only honor his name, but to improve it and surpass it.
Absolutely.
And he left me. I'd love to share this with you. The day he left us, I had a conversation with him, and he was really upset with me that day. And I thought it was a little odd. I was wondering to myself, what did I do that made him so upset? And he said, Nicholas, you have to work hard. What are you going to do when you're 30 years old? You're 19 years old. I've spoiled you, and you have, the best car, and you live in Malibu at Pepperdine University, So he was very concerned, and by the way, rightfully so.
Rightfully so. Fair enough.
And that conversation will never leave me. And by the way, the way he ended that conversation was he gifted me a beautiful jacket that he and I had designed together in Italy 6 months before that, and it was a beautiful pure Vicuna jacket with crocodile detailing. I mean, even back then, in 2011, that jacket would have been very expensive.
Yeah, that sounds very extravagant.
Yes. And he wanted me to have that jacket. But first he had to give me a 30-minute lecture about hard work and all of this. But it was very sincere and very authentic. And it was the most impactful gift he could have ever given me, the conversation, not the jacket. And I think about that all the time. And guess what? When I was 30 years old, I started my own company. I had my first child, my daughter Bijou, who we named Bijou Bijan. We call her Bibi. And by the way, talk about signs and being open to it. Her birthday was 2/22/22.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my dad obviously was 4/4/44. So
wild.
Yeah. Wow. So that's to answer your question, how, in a nutshell, I dealt with that tragedy. And really, I think it's important to look at these things with a glass half full and remember that in the hardest moments and the most difficult times, sometimes these things are, and most of the time, these things are the biggest blessings. And it's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, I know. At the moment, they feel very painful.
Yeah.
But you just have to go through them.
We have kind of the ability as time goes on to learn to embrace those moments, but it helps when you love what you do. And I have the best job in the world. I create pieces that really, there's no other job that gives you the gratification that I receive that I can think of. Perhaps maybe designing houses, but I get to create something and pour my heart and soul into creating it with an amazing team of amazing peers. And then really put a lot of, besides blood, sweat, and tears, finances into creating that piece. And then I get to present it to somebody, and I get to see that they not only would pay a very high price to own it, but it makes them feel better. It makes them feel more confident. It makes them kind of unlock this inner feeling of reading between the lines that, you know, maybe I was intending or not intending. And that is a hugely fulfilling thing.
Of course.
Because you're putting a lot of work and you're getting this return of seeing the gratification it brings.
Of course. I mean, making an impact on people's lives, making a very positive impact, is easier said than done, you know, and creating that meaning or having them experience that impact through a product or service that you provide is very fulfilling.
Yeah.
Especially to the right individuals. And if you can do it at a level that brings joy to you, that's the ultimate combination. Here you are utilizing your skills, your know-how, your experiences, and putting it into something, and that sum becomes a service or product that you get shared with people that you love and they appreciate it. It's the greatest feeling.
We really believe that we have an obligation to provide a amazing service. There used to be a time when you would go to a pharmacy, and it didn't have to be a luxury brand. It could be a pharmacy, and the proprietor or the manager or the sales associate would know who you are. They'd say, Nicholas, how are you? How's Bijou? Is she feeling better? Oh, I have this new thing that we received that I ordered because I had you in mind. Let me know what you think of it, and no pressure. And if you don't want it, and by the way, don't worry, you have your house account, and we'll send this up to your house. We'll drop it off later today, so you don't have to be worried about it. And if there's any problems or anything, just call me. I'll pick it up. That was important. That touch, that relationship, that service was part of what you were buying, regardless of whether you were buying small items from a convenience store or pharmacy, or whether you were buying expensive $5,000 jackets.
Of course.
I don't understand why that's so lacking in today's world. And when I started NB44, I said, besides all of those things about designing pieces with the best quality, personalized, and presenting them, that service needs to be there. And when you pair the service, the products, and the community, you can see why the brand is such a unique offering. Now, when I started it, if you would have told me that 700 people would have applied for membership, I would have said you're crazy. And there's no way. But today we have, I'm not going to say the exact number, but that's a fraction of the amount of people who have come to our website and registered their interest in becoming a member. And it's a testament to the lack of what is really needed in the world today in terms of serving clients and making meaningful products. So I think it's a really exciting proposition. I'm honored to do it, and to say that I was continuing a family business and a legacy and then walking away from all of that to start something new, it was the biggest scary moment, but the biggest blessing in disguise.
Of course. And for our viewers, I want to kind of quickly recap, because, you know, if they don't know your past and your dad's legacy super clearly, they may get confused. So the House of Bijan is still an existing business on Rodeo Drive. doing what it's been doing the last 40 to 50 years.
That's correct.
And in 2021, you started your own brand, NB44, which previously you explained how you came up with the name, which is beautiful. And I love that your daughter is 2222.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And to give it a little summary, this is a statement that you had on your website that I like: designed in Beverly Hills, manufactured in Italy.
Yes.
And I want to expand on that because, we're, soon launching our own products business and manufacturing, designing. They go hand to hand, but at the same time, hand in hand. But, we live in a global world now and everything is connected.
Yeah.
So I want to expand on that. And, you talked about how you don't understand that this level of service or personalization, how come it doesn't exist in the world of business? But to me, that's a very easy answer, because when you create a business or service where you're operating at that level and you have that good of an understanding of the product, the customer, and the experience from 0 to 100, well, you already have a pretty special business.
Yes.
And a lot of people, when they crack that formula, they tend to go, okay, we have something truly amazing. Let's scale it up.
Correct.
It takes a very nuanced individual and a very nuanced vision to say, great, but just pull the handbrake just for a second.
Yeah.
Let's amplify this experience furthermore.
Yes.
But I want each touch point to be that much more meaningful and intentional.
Yes.
From the moment they walk in to the things they try, and how the entire collection lineup of clothes that they're going to try is curated, all the way to the way we package it, the way we give it to them, and the way we make them care and maintain that product, which again, meeting you, coming to your design studio, even the way you handle your products or the packaging you provided with. In fact, the jacket I'm wearing, you were very kind enough to gift this jacket to me, which I love. I've been wearing it and really enjoying it. And it takes a very certain individual and a vision to go create something at that level.
Yes.
And it's not easy to maintain either.
Yes.
Meaning running it and keeping it profitable, operational, and growing that kind of a nuanced vision. So tell me and justify your craziness for wanting to come up with a business like this and be so passionate about it, because that's really what draw me to you as well. When you walk into a truly remarkable space, there's something you feel before you notice the details. It's the art. That's what Pop Fine Art delivers. They partner with world-renowned galleries to source blue-chip works from the most celebrated artists. But Pop Fine Art is more than just acquisition. They're a full-service fine art staging company, curating one-of-a-kind collections to elevate luxury properties around the world. Whether it's a penthouse in New York, a villa in Miami, they do it all. And we know this firsthand. When we set out to design our podcast studio, we wanted to reflect the same level of artistry and storytelling that inspires our work, just like the George Condo piece behind me that they have provided us. Pop Fine Art graciously stepped in, selecting incredible pieces that don't just decorate the room, they bring it to life. So if you want to find out more information, visit popfineart.com.
We are not a brand that should be creating things that are inexpensive and selling them for an expensive price. Our clients and our members are the most intelligent people in the world. And if we want to honor them and we want to really keep them for generations to come as members, we have to invest in our product. We have to invest in our service so that they can find true value in it, because they're extremely intelligent individuals and they have access to the best of the best. So that's what we've done. About a year into it, when we launched the first collection, I think at the end of 2022, we had seen just a tremendous demand. And we had dozens and dozens of members now at that point that we had brought on after each season, a few more and a few more and a few more. And we really wanted to make good on our promises of over delivering on this experience and this product. And so we really did have to pull that handbrake, as you mentioned, and say, let's close the membership. Let's focus on the existing membership. Let's make them so impressed. And we'll reopen the membership when we feel that we can make that promise good for more people. And we never had to, because we did so good on the promise that we made. In my opinion, there was learnings along the way, but we made so good on that promise, and we really pride ourselves on it, that it became a big group of people wanting to refer others.
Yeah.
And then we felt an obligation in many respects to allow their referrals to come in as long as we could offer them that service and product. So the list just began ballooning that we were receiving online. And that doesn't mean that we didn't sign up new members through the online registration, which we still do each season. We try to kind of find new members that even might not have a referral, but 99% of our members from that first year on were all by referral, and it became a real community. I mean, it was remarkable. We did a dinner, I remember, on April 4th. We call it the 4-4 event. We do it every year. And one of the members was sitting next to another member who he had not met, and they actually had gone to the same high school in Dallas, and they're great friends now, that they see each other all the time, and we're like just so grateful that we were able to be a part of that. And like just this last week, we had one of our members visiting a country in the Gulf area, and he wanted to buy a bunch of gifts for another member who is unbeknownst to each other, also an NB44 member. So he was able to call us and say, "Oh, I want to buy a gift for a friend of mine. Here's a picture of him, and here's his sizing." And we said, "Well, we know what he likes and what he doesn't like." And then he was able to.
Don't you worry.
It's really quite cool.
Yeah.
And honestly, what it all comes down to is what we talked about. That's what you deserve when you are buying a luxury product. And in a world where everything is so homogenized, you see the same things on every main street of every major shopping district around the world. These unique pieces of uncompromising quality paired with this respect for the people who are buying it, that's the rule. That needs to be the gold standard of our industry. And we have a pretty formative long list of people who agree, I think, with that statement.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's quite alluring when you go to your website, all you see is a one page and an inquiry form.
Yeah.
And that's a bold statement in this day and age. And I mean, clearly it's working, and it's also, you value this being a boutique experience.
Yes.
And I have to commend you for doing it and really owning it. People always ask me what kind of architecture you like. I say, I like all architectures. My thing is, if you're going to go with a style, go all the way.
Yes.
Own it properly.
Yes.
Don't cheap out. So from the time I arrived to your design studio, the people, the way they interact with you, how they just take your jacket off of you, how everything is laid out, I can see that attention to detail in every aspect of the experience you're trying to offer, all the way to even how my jacket that I came to the room with was given back to me. And that's so important, and that is missing. You're right.
So you didn't get and that's an amazing opportunity that we had to welcome you to our design studio, which, by the way, I think is such an amazing experience to be able to interact with a brand that way. And you see a lot of brands doing that now, whether it's Audemars Piguet or Ferrari or Macallan. They are creating these intimate environments, settings for members or clients or connoisseurs or collectors to engage with their brand. Yeah. And I think it's very intelligent. And I think that that's actually maybe the future in many ways of traditional brick and mortar retail. Yes. But what you didn't get to experience, which is what most of our members get to experience, is the receiving of the collection in their home. Yes. And what most of them receive is a beautiful trunk that's curated and really packed by outfit for them to receive and review at their leisure. And it arrives, it belongs to them. When they become a member, that's how they receive their garments, is in that trunk. Nobody else receives garments in that trunk. That's their trunk. And we have a white glove delivery, drop it off with them. They have the time that they need to go through it. They have an app that explains everything about what's in that trunk to them. And then when they're ready to have it picked up, many of whom don't have it picked up, they keep everything we send them. But when they do pick it up, they just request the pickup. We send the same courier to pick it up, bring it back to us. Maybe there are some alterations in there. Maybe there are some items that need restoring or dry cleaning or touch-ups in there from NB44. And it comes back to the design studio. Your team goes through it. They make it beautiful for you, and then they ship it back to you in a beautiful hanging box ready to wear. And what's been so amazing about that experience for me, and such an welcome surprise, is the reach it has. Because when I was running my family business, we would see so many people walk through that front door, but we were limited to serving the people who ended up walking through that door. And Los Angeles is a pretty far place. But now we have a global reach, and we have members in 35 cities around the world who are receiving these collections, and they're looking forward to it. When the season is going, we send it typically based on their schedule, but typically it's every season. So one in spring, one in summer, one in fall, one in winter. And we're hearing from them, and they're saying, when is it coming? When is it coming? When can I receive it? And can I get another one for my son or another one for my father? So it's been so cool. And what's been so surprising and exciting about it is the reach from cities like Charlotte, North Carolina, all the way to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, from cities like Columbus, Ohio, to Atherton, heart of Silicon Valley. It's astonishing. It's astonishing. And it's just a testament to the power of the digital world we live in, and how there is such a desire and an appetite for this kind of high-touch, personalized experience. And it can still be achieved through e-commerce. E-commerce doesn't need to be add to cart and checkout.
No. And I mean, you have a very unique business, and I mean, there are so many things that I want to talk about, and I don't want this to take hours, but one of the things that I would like to understand, the materials, the designs that you're coming up with, not only they're very intentional, they're really the best materials you can buy, and you can really afford to create these garments, these unique one-off items. And you're also deploying a design studio behind it. It's not like you're just making black t-shirts for everyone. You're designing each one of these pieces.
Yes.
Then you're manufacturing them. And, there are many reasons why someone would go for the best of the best materials, best experience. I want to understand your justification behind going that extra mile and being that extravagant designer that wants to put the crocodile letter on a bomber jacket.
Yeah.
I want to understand what satisfaction, joy, or meaning you see behind pursuing these exotic materials and creating these really elevated products.
Well, I think you're paying for it. I think that when you purchase a product for the prices of our products, which are very expensive. I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars for a jacket, or $1,000 or something for a pair of jeans. You really deserve all of the things that NB44 stands for. And I think that it's really not prevalent in today's industry. I think that you have a big focus today on branding and on marketing, and there's some beautiful designs that go along with some of the brands and companies that do that. But really, I believe that when you're paying the prices that I see across our industry, you deserve an unparalleled quality. Now, I'm in a unique position to provide that. And I understand that most consumers may have not had access to that. But what I've seen and what I was betting on was that when you do have access to it and you do get the chance to wear it and you do experience it, it's very hard to go back to what you were purchasing before. Yeah. And I've heard that from our members. And these are members that, again, they're young men and women, and they've purchased pieces from the best of the best brands, so to speak, around the world. And they're wearing head to toe NB44. And I don't know of any other brand that they're wearing head to toe. Really, any consumer. I mean, most people will pair things with this and that, but all one brand, from their shoes to their hat. It's pretty remarkable. And the other thing I have to tell you is that if we do our job right at NB44, if the design team, the style team, even all the way down from the bottom of the organization to the top of the organization does their job right, these individuals will be our clients and our ambassadors for generations. And in a business, there's always this kind of LTV, customer acquisition formula. But in my business, it's not possible because it's more than one lifetime that we're going to be serving these people. We did a beautiful collection, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind me sharing this story, but we did a beautiful collection for one of our members who he called his style team. He called us and he said, I would really love for you guys to design a beautiful series of outfits for my son's wedding. And I want you to dress me. I would love for you to dress my son. I'd love for you to dress my other son. I'd love for you to dress my father, and I'd love for you to dress my father-in-law. And we did the most beautiful collection of morning suits and tuxedos, and then casual pieces for the other days. It's art. I mean, this I am so proud of what we have designed and put together for this member. And besides the creative fulfillment and the proud, reality of what we're making, how about the fact that I was entrusted with such a responsibility of doing something like that, and that it was so meaningful for him? That's the coolest part about all of it. So to kind of recap, I believe that when you pay the prices that people are paying for these products, you deserve this level of quality. You deserve this level of service. You can't necessarily find it in other places. And also I understand that because it's not so easy to do. We are doing it for, a living, and we've also said, okay, we cannot have any new people at this point because we need to make good on our promises. So I understand it. And we are not a brand for everybody. But we are a brand for a specific group, and we are very honored to serve them, and we will continue to serve them and pride ourselves on the service and products we're giving them.
Amazing. I know manufacturing in Italy comes with a cachet.
Yeah.
But also, given the price point of your products and really your service in general, one would argue that you can afford manufacturing in US too.
Yeah.
And I say that specifically because US is framed as, a country that is expensive to manufacture in.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's not really the reason behind this intentional decision for manufacturing in Italy. I would love to understand your process there. And my little nuance to you is, given again the clientele, the level of service, these individuals tend to be accustomed to receiving whatever they want whenever they want.
Correct.
And when you're dealing with manufacturing in one country, shipping, customization, altering, things can take time.
Yes.
So I'm curious how you navigate this world, and really why Italy?
Well, Italy is, in my experience, the only country that can provide the quality that we deliver. I find it to be the best quality. I find it to be able to provide really an artistry that is pretty rare around the world. We employ in many of our product lines third or even sometimes fourth generation artisans, and they have a way of doing things that is truly art and is becoming very rare. Manufacturing in Italy by hand is probably the most expensive way to manufacture clothing. And over the years, there has been a big departure of many brands from manufacturing in that way for various reasons. And what we've been able to do is not only create beautiful garments that can only be produced by those artisans in that area of the world, but also give some security to their craft, because otherwise they would not be able to be in business any longer. So it is a nice symbiotic relationship. It is very difficult because it is geographically far away from us, and we have to travel there quite often, and they travel to us quite often, and it's a give and take. But it really allows us to create a product that's unparalleled in terms of personalization, quality, and longevity. Imagine these pieces. Some of them I have in my closet who have that I inherited from my father, that they're older than me and they still look new. But we even go a step further than that. We really go around the world to find the most beautiful materials to then craft in Italy. So, for example, the jacket that I'm wearing is a mixture of extremely lightweight silk and wool. And we will buy this fabric in England and we will ship it to Italy to then be made by our artisans into this jacket. And we can even go a step further and say, well, I know that Enes's favorite color is this, specific shade of gray or navy or whatever it might be. And so let me produce the fabric in that color. You can't really do that with other brands. I mean, you can't go into a store and say, oh, I like this jacket, but can you make it for me in, this specific color or something like that? I can do that in my factories in Italy, and that's not something that you can really do anywhere else. Furthermore, I think that there is a big emphasis on sustainability, and you don't see that in a lot of big luxury brands. I'm afraid to say. We source everything from ethical sources, from, like I said, the fabric that's on this jacket to the Japanese silk that's on this silk t-shirt. And then we're making it by artisans in Italy where, there's, besides the generational work that goes into creating those products and the employment and the security that we're providing them, also the fact that these pieces are made of quality that doesn't end up in a landfill. I mean, this is going to be in your family for generations. And that's a huge need in the fashion industry. I think there's, I walk by stores sometimes when I'm traveling or if I'm with my kids, and I see inside a store, like, how many pieces of clothing are in that store. It's alarming, who is buying all of these things. So for us, it's a huge emphasis on quality over quantity. And as I have to be honest with you, you really can't do that in many other places than Italy, because in places like the US, to a certain extent, in places like Asia, even other parts of Europe, you really have to produce in large quantities. For us, we are creating limited edition pieces. There are 1 or 2 pieces made, and that's why you don't see people walking down the street wearing the same piece as you. And I truly believe that Italy is the place you can do that. My father believed that. I learned it from him. And I will probably continue to do that until we have another alternative. I love, each country has its own specialty, I think.
Yeah.
We source a lot of our denim from Japan. We source a lot of our silk from Lake Como. We take some of our we source some of our cashmeres and our vicuñas from Peru. So the point is like, I love to travel and really understand, but ultimately I want it to be made by my factory in Italy, where I can control the quality. I can ensure that we're producing the best quality for our clients, and also we have the ability to do some really beautiful and unbelievably personalized things. I had a member request a really cool leather jacket. She's a lady actually, and we made a lady's jacket for her, and beautiful soft kangaroo leather. And then the lining of it, we surprised her, and we, in the silk of the lining, printed a picture of her dog. And when she received this, she opened it and she was shocked. She so these are things that we can that we can do, and there's some tricks up my sleeve there that I'm sharing with you guys. But the point is that our job is kind of simple. It's to impress people who are typically pretty difficult to impress.
So I think once you experience these higher quality materials, once you understand when something is built with intentionality, and if it particularly has a timeless design, how many years you can enjoy and appreciate a garment.
It's an investment.
It's an investment.
It's an investment. And by the way, in many instances, it will be worth more one day as vintage.
100%. But I think the world hasn't been receiving that message.
Yeah.
And I don't think many companies were advocating that message either.
Yeah.
And now I see products, brands that are valuing that more than the others. They tend to be more successful, even behind the company that we're creating, and the message we're trying to send out is, instead of buying 3, maybe buy 1.
Correct.
But buy the best and really enjoy it and appreciate it. And I always tell people, if you cannot afford it, that's okay. But maybe consider not buying it, or be okay with what you already have. But there's so much value in buying something that is the best and maintaining it and protecting it and wearing it for years. And every time you put it on, it's this reminder to yourself. And it's like a perspective in life. It's like, I intentionally paid a premium
Yes.
and have this jacket.
Yes.
I wear it intentionally. I protect it. I maintain it. If people that know me, every time I wear a shoe, the night I arrive, I clean them. I store them. I dry clean all my clothes. I maintain them really well.
So at NB44, we should do that for you.
There we go.
That's the point. That's what I'm saying is, if you're going to make, you said it much more elegantly than me. And if you're going to make that investment, and you're going to take that, let's call it leap of faith, then my brand should stand behind that.
Amazing. What's next for NB44?
We would love to serve more people. But unfortunately, at this point in time, we want to be extremely thoughtful and intelligent and selective about who and how we do business with. And that's what's next for us. I do think that the design studio that we have in Beverly Hills is a great example of something that I would love to expand upon. We currently have members in 30 plus cities around the world. So I would love to be able to create more of those settings where you can have interactions with the brand in real life, IRL. But in the meantime, we want to continue to create these beautiful collections, ship them around the world, impress people in a way that they haven't seen, and challenge ourselves. I have a sign in my design studio that you might have seen that says, "It can be done."
Yeah.
And we really embrace that. So we have members who, right now, we're working on some really tremendous and ambitious projects, from cars to dune buggies to furniture to wedding dresses to luggage sets, and we're having a lot of fun creatively with it, and our members are enjoying it, but I think we're enjoying it more. We're honored, deeply honored to serve them, and I'm looking forward to growing those relationships, improving those relationships, and hopefully in the near future building more of them with new members.
Are there particular cities you're focusing on?
Yeah, I think we are at the end of the day, we are an American luxury brand. So I definitely want to focus on the United States. We have a huge, loyal client base and membership base in the Middle East and across Central Europe. But as a fashion designer and as an American fashion brand, I really am drawn to New York City. I think that it's a city that resonates with our model in terms of the designing and styling as a service for our members. And I think there are a lot of people that could use our help. So we're excited about it. And as a designer, you have to be in New York. My father, he opened in New York his boutique in, I believe, the early 80s. And it really put him into a new caliber of his career. And then from that point forward, he was able to launch his fragrances, which I think have sold over 6 million bottles since day one. And I'm excited for that chapter of my career in my industry. And there are other cities like South Florida and Silicon Valley, and the data shows, because we are, at the end of the day, we are a data company. The data shows where our members are, but creatively speaking, New York, I think, is calling and is an amazing place for NB44.
I mean, New York is New York, and there's a level of competence you need to have in place to be able to exist in New York and participate in that environment. So I think a lot of us are drawn to New York one way or another because we feel like we're up for that challenge. And it's one thing to just pay for a retail space, have another boutique or a design studio there, but it's another thing to have a business that is successful, creative, innovative enough where you can exist there and thrive there.
Yes.
And I think one way or another, every company wishes that, And so hopefully one day.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'll promise you is we're going to be very thoughtful about how we grow our brand, not just from the membership perspective, but from the locations and footprint that we have. I don't want to be in every major street around the world. I don't think that that's right for a brand like ours. I want to be in the right places. And at the core of what we do is quality over quantity. So I think that we will be very thoughtful. And I promise you in every aspect of our business, that's what you can expect.
Amazing. I want to pivot the conversation to Los Angeles for a second.
Yeah.
Because selfishly, I live in Los Angeles. We operate our business here. And what has happened over the last 5 to 10 years, Los Angeles has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I would like to call it's going through a bit of a renaissance.
Sure.
It is kind of finding its new identity as the city is going through its challenges and just adapting to the new world that we live in.
Yes.
With all that said, you were born and raised here.
Yes.
You have a very deep understanding of this city. So I would love to hear your thoughts about Los Angeles and where do you think it is today and where do you think it's going?
So Los Angeles, in my opinion, is a unique situation because it's very far from a lot of the world. New York or Florida, you're 5 hours or 6 hours probably away from Europe. And you've got, 5 hours or 6 hours to the West Coast and all of the in between. But Los Angeles, we're more or less remote. So I think it's pretty much a testament to what an amazingly beautiful place we live in, that you can be so far away in many ways from the rest of the world and still be such a hub for people from all different walks of life and from all different countries. We have amazing weather. We have beautiful homes. We have great car culture. We have fashion, obviously. We have great restaurants, from Japanese sushi to, Persian food, But I do see what you mean in terms of there has been changes and it's going through a renaissance. And I do also share your curiosity of where it's going in the future. I think that we have a lot of great things coming in terms of the Olympics and the World Cup. And I am encouraged by the amount of members I see visiting Los Angeles and visiting us at our design studio from all around the world, from places as far as Doha to places as close as Silicon Valley. At the end of the day, this will always be a destination that is glamorous and sought after by people from around the world. You have Hollywood, you have the sunshine, you have the palm trees, you have the art culture, you have Venice Beach to the Hollywood sign. And it's a land of opportunity within the land of opportunity. I think as far back as you can remember, people have been moving here to pursue careers in all different industries, especially in the movie industry. And California is also a hub for technology around the world. So to answer your question, I'm biased, obviously, being born and raised here. And it is home for me, and I think it will always be home for me. My children were also born here, and I think that they will also find it to be their home. But you have to care about it, and you have to really be proud and be vocal of your hometown. And wherever I go in the world, I'm very focused on Beverly Hills and Los Angeles. I put it, as you might have noticed, on a lot of our branding, designed in Beverly Hills, made in Italy. That's part of our DNA. It's part of my DNA, and it's something I'm very proud of. I think California is the most beautiful place on earth, not just Southern California, but all of California. And I'm so impressed by the vast reach that it has. I mean, my entire life and my father's entire career, more or less. I mean, I know I said that New York had a big factor in that, but Beverly Hills was the hub. And I remember as a young teenager working for my dad, at that time part-time as summer jobs, until like 9 o'clock at night, I would be in his store at Rodeo Drive, and we would be welcoming clients from all around the world, from Russia and Mexico and Singapore and China and of course the United States, and of course the Middle East. I mean, that's a big statement, and it also allowed us to achieve notoriety worldwide in terms of our brands. The city has been so supportive of him, and the leaders within the city have also recognized him, during his lifetime and also after he passed, like the yellow parking meter, and I think they named May 8th Bijan Day in the city of Beverly Hills. But it was a beautiful partnership that kind of they both benefited from, the city of Rodeo Drive in particular, and the city, as well as Bijan the designer, and now NB44, as well as me as a designer. So to answer your question, I think it's always going to be a very sought after place. I think that the homes that you see here are some of the most beautiful homes. The quality of life here is beautiful, and the United States as a whole is just, it's a haven. I mean, around the world, you have freedom here, you have democracy. For its better or for its worse, it might not be perfect, but I do think it's the best place to live in the world. And within the United States, without a doubt, California, and within California, without a doubt, Los Angeles. I truly, honestly believe that we are so blessed in Los Angeles, and I hope that more people will come here. Immigrants from all around the world will see stories like my father's, stories like mine, stories like yours, stories like so many amazing people who have come to California, from Steve Jobs to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and find inspiration in it and want to come here. And I travel around quite a bit for work. And when I do, I always come home happy to be an Angelino and a Californian. Recently, I was in Dubai, and I was with some really amazing people that I am super inspired by. And I realized during our lunch, they really want to become a US citizen, and they really want to live in LA. And how lucky am I? So yeah, in long story short, we've got amazing things on the horizon. And I think that the city is one of the most unique and beautiful cities to live in and to visit. And you have so many different things happening here, so many different personalities, from Beverly Hills to Venice Beach to Malibu to Hollywood and everything in between, from the Valley, which I love, to Los Feliz and Glendale, my favorite Persian restaurant in Glendale.
You gotta give it a name.
Rafi's place. Yeah.
Okay, good. I want to try that. No, I mean, I agree with you in many ways. Los Angeles has a very impactful, powerful name. Yeah. That has helped many, including myself. I benefited greatly from it. I mean, my entire YouTube channel is built around homes, mostly in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
This is where the journey began. And I was fortunate enough to be in a city where people were just drawn to. I happened to tour homes here. It could have been any other city. But having Los Angeles behind you, and there's just so much interest and allure to this city that everybody is excited about it one way or another. Obviously, you had a very interesting journey. What you have created, where you're going next. What advice would you give to someone who looks up to your journey?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. I think advice varies, obviously, case by case and person by person. But I hope that some of the things that I've experienced can give some perspective and really focusing on quality in more than just the sense of creating something, but the thoughtfulness and the relationship and the kindness and the sincerity. That is quality in my definition. And the advice that I would give is not dissimilar to the advice that I received, which is be so kind to everybody you meet and be incredibly thoughtful in the way that you do business with them. And you have no idea how that comes back around in life. And I was the biggest beneficiary of the impact that my father had made on many people. And so now that I have children of my own, I think when I'm talking with anybody, even in this conversation, you have to be so giving and generous and sincere and humble with the people you're interacting with, because first of all, it's the right thing to do. But second of all, the biggest beneficiary of that might be my children one day. They might remember when I'm not around in a conversation with somebody, oh, I met your father and the way he spoke about this or the way he made us feel was so special. And that, taken from somebody who's experienced it, is a huge thing to hear.
It must be so powerful.
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, advice is a very powerful thing, and there's so much advice on different topics. But just as a general level, being genuine and sincere and having humility and being very grateful for what you have is a great place to start. And in business, taking the opportunity to really put in the work and learn, and then apply those lessons in a craft is a huge blessing if you're able to get the opportunity to do so, and don't take that for granted.
Absolutely. What are your personal goals now beyond business? I know you've talked about your family, and I know you want to give back. I would love to hear what are some of the other stuff that you're focusing on.
Yeah, I think fatherhood is an amazing new journey for me. I have 2 young children, and I want to really empower them and just be an amazing parent. I think it's interesting because a lot of people say, well, what would you want to do with your business and NB44 and even Bijan for the next generation? I honestly don't believe that my children should ever have to be pushed into doing anything like that. If that's what they want to do and they have a similar kind of desire as I did to do that, I'm going to support them 100%. But if they want to pursue acting or pursue a law degree or even just be an artist and, figure out what they want to do, I want to be there to support them in what they want to do. So what's next for me and what's, outside of work, obviously, my ambitions is trying to be as good of a father to my kids as my dad was for me, and as good of a parent as my mom is to me. I've been incredibly lucky. Other than that, I love being able to build something that has an impact on people, and my legacy is definitely in the forefront of my mind, and it has been since I have kind of started this new venture. And I want to look back one day at 50 or 60 years old and be very happy that I made some of the decisions I did and not have many regrets. So that's that. I think it's important to really have perspective, though, and not take things for granted, and understand that your whole life can change like this, for better or for worse. So enjoy it. Again, you know it better than anybody. It's easier said than done, but it's about the journey, not the destination.
Enjoy it and make it count.
Yeah.
You got to make it count. Any final thoughts?
Thank you. I really appreciate, I love having this opportunity to chat with you. I would love to do it more often, keep you updated on what's happening in the world of NB44 and Nicholas Bijan. And hopefully we can invite you into the studio again and show you some of our designs and tell you more about NB44. In fact, I would actually love to invite you and let you tell me about NB44 because based on the videos I've seen, you're way better at all of it than me. So I'd love to see that.
I mean, no, I'm honored. Anything I can share, I would love to. And given what we do, one of the things that I think I subconsciously have built is this constant look for how things are curated and how the experiences can be lived. So I'm very cognizant of whether it's the little detail, the accessory, the scent, the candle, the lighting that's in a given space and how that makes you feel. So when I walked into your design studio, the level of intentionality immediately stood out to me and excited me because you're relatively young, and seeing how much passion and care you're putting into what you do and how cognizant you are of the feeling that it gives to people, right. It's powerful. And we live in a day and age where money, status, success, metrics overrule feelings and emotions and how we make people feel.
Right.
So seeing how much you value those things resonated with me a lot. And I think also the fact that I live in LA and I'm trying to run a business and interact with people in a way that is authentic and true to where I'm from and how I've been raised, while still being competitive, if not the best at what I do, it's a juxtaposition. So navigating that is challenging, but seeing someone like you is almost like a subconscious validation of like, it is possible. Look, he's doing it. He's running in thriving in his business in a very elegant, sophisticated, and caring way, while still being the best or the premium in his segment. So that's really inspiring. And for that, I want to thank you for coming here to our studio, sitting down with us, talking with us. And I know we'll see each other many more times, and hopefully we'll do even cooler and more interesting projects.
I'm looking forward to it, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we haven't done this part. I want you to show the trunk experience.
Yeah.
What do you get and how it all feels?
Yeah, so I think it's important to understand what we do with this. So when somebody signs up to be a member of NB44, they receive this trunk that really belongs to them, and it's how we transport and present their collections to them on a recurring basis. Okay. And I really feel like the presentation of our products, given the amount of time and effort and really, for lack of a better word, blood, sweat, and tears that go into creating these products, the presentation has to be equally as impressive. So we really created a unique experience of unboxing where everything is by outfit and it's presented to you for your review, and whatever you like to keep, you keep, and whatever you don't like to keep, we just pick it up in this trunk and take it back. Then a few months later, you'll probably get a new trunk, same idea, but with different things inside, right? And that's what we've been doing so successfully in 30 plus cities around the world. We have a courier that usually would drop it off and be able to pick it up. Tailors that can visit you. Obviously, we have our own tailors in Beverly Hills, and we have, the ability to do minor alterations to garments as well. So, I think when you buy something online, adding it to your cart, wondering what it is, how does it feel? How would it fit me? What size do I need? What do I wear with it? If it needs to be tailored, where do I take it?
Yeah.
If I don't like it, how do I return it? Let me add my credit card in, and then if I don't like it, I'll have to take it to UPS. That's completely ripe for disruption, so to speak. And what we did at NB44 and what we've been doing is presenting these trunks on recurring basis to all of our members around the world. And it's a really cool kind of ergonomic design. And, when I did it, I was like, either I'm a genius or I'm an idiot. It's still to be determined, but I really love the way that we present it. Presentation is important to me. I'd love to show it to you.
Please.
First of all, your code is typically your birthday.
Okay.
And so you'd open the code, and I know I'm giving some security information away, but you open the code, and inside this trunk is basically 3 to 4 outfits that have been completely curated. And you'll see your name there, and then inside each one of these garment bags, we have...
just like the overall fabrication is quite impressive.
We have an outfit in here. So the inside here will be perhaps a jacket paired with a t-shirt, paired with a pair of jeans or something like that. And you can keep just the jeans, or you can keep just the jacket. Or, by the way, if you wanted it in a different color, you can contact your style team at NB44 and say, oh, I love them. You know, I wish that they were navy blue instead of in green or charcoal gray.
Yeah.
And really what we do is we take a lot of the work out of it, besides the fact that it's extremely convenient to receive things like this, because most of our members are fairly busy.
Yeah.
You know, we have members who they tell us that their ritual when they receive their trunk is they get kind of a notification from us through their app that they've received it, and they can't wait to go through it. So they'll take everything out, they'll put it on a rack in their closet and have it all hanging ready to go through, and then they'll get their wife or their partner involved, and maybe they'll open a glass of wine and they'll just go through them, try them on one by one, get people's opinion, and then make their selections. And it's actually a really luxurious shopping experience.
Of course.
You know?
I mean, it's like receiving a toy for a kid. It's like how exciting. You get this beautiful box. You don't know what's inside. It is curated for you. It's exciting. It's like a little reward to yourself.
And you can be as involved in that process as you want.
Yeah.
So, for example, we use our expertise to think about what you would want to wear.
Yeah.
And what you would look good in. But if you wanted to be involved in the design process, it's super easy for us to do that. And we love to hear from our members as well. So, for example, inside this, we have a gorgeous, our color is green. So
Yeah.
we love green. NB44's colors is green, but we have a gorgeous jacket that's made of a very lightweight, summer weight fabric. And it has all this detailing in leather,
The
and
zipper, everything. Yeah.
oh, absolutely, and all the piping there, and then the T-shirt that goes with it is made of a very soft, not shiny Japanese silk. So if you see, this is like a luxurious version of a T-shirt, and
Yeah.
what we wanted to do is create, an outfit that not only from a color point of view was unique and special, but also you didn't have to wonder, well, what do I wear with this and what do I wear with that?
Yeah.
And there's usually 3 or 4 of those outfits in there. Right now I have 3 in there, all for you to go through and shop at your leisure.
Yeah.
And the materials that we've used are really a lot of fun. I mean, it's you don't find these materials. Just to be able to incorporate them into garments usually is very rare.
Yeah.
And we're doing it in our ready to wear collection.
Amazing. Wow. So cool. So
Yeah.
unique and distinct, and what an exciting experience. I can understand the lure. Like knowing the clientele that receives this and not knowing what they're receiving, it's a unique shopping experience. So
Well, a lot of them like that surprise. They leave it to us. They say, we are part of NB44 because we don't have time to shop.
yeah.
We don't really necessarily know how or what to wear with what. And we just want you to make us look good. And we're very busy, so make it as easy and as seamless as
And
possible.
if it happens to be fun and enjoyable, it's just a big plus.
So that's like, I would say, a majority of the members. But then quite a few, actually, probably 40% or so, they actually look at NB44 as a channel to express themselves creatively.
Yeah.
And they love to be involved. They love to design. They love to say, oh, I want to create something like this and like that. And then 3 weeks or 4 weeks go by and a trunk arrives, and inside are more or less what they imagined. And if we've done our job well, even more than what they imagined.
What they imagine.
Yeah.
Amazing.
There's a value to investing in these products. And I don't want to justify it, and I don't want to be, insensitive to the fact that our products are expensive.
Yeah.
But when you think about what you're purchasing, from the personalization, the intention, the quality, and of course, the limited edition nature of it, it's really not expensive. Of course, it has some cost to it, but it's not expensive. And that piece will be with you for many, many years. So it's a very special and intelligent actual way of shopping, an intelligent way of dressing. And it also is very likely that it will be worth more when you're done using it than it was when you purchased it.
Which I know is a crazy concept to get your head around. but it is true. And now there are collector's pieces and vintage pieces that are going 3-4x the price that people paid them initially. I mean, we don't need to get into the bags of, Hermes.
I have to tell you,
watches
even those products that are selling in the secondary market in the world we live in today are mass produced compared to the products that we're
Yes.
creating. I mean, the pieces that we're making are in most instances one made, so you are literally the only person on the planet wearing that garment. And if you don't end up wanting it when we send it to you in your collection,
it's all fine.
no problem, because I promise you there is another member who would love to have
We'll
it.
take it.
And I don't mean that from a pompous or disrespectful way. I truly mean it in the fact that it is so limited that you don't have to worry about it not finding a home.
Also, you have confidence in your work. It may not resonate with that individual, but it is going to resonate with someone else. They're going to find that color, the fabric, interesting, unique, and exciting to wear it and be proud of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
No,
I love it.
amazing.
Well, we're honored to have you as a member.
No, you. This is intoxicating. Yeah, I know. Just like I want to go. He's like, oh, we can customize. I'm like burgundy, brown. I'm
Yeah.
just already
Yeah.
thinking
He's
about
like,
it.
Andy, you're fired. I got a
Yeah,
subscription.
like you need to find this